out there in YouTube land?
Welcome back.
Today we're going to talk about a film that many of you may not have seen.
May not have seen because it was kind of blackballed.
It was, and it's older. So for anyone that is like a newer fan to horror, this one's an interesting film, and we're talking about Dee Snyder's Strangeland.
Yeah, and the reason that it was really just kind of pushed to the side is when it came out, they thought, one, it wouldn't go anywhere, and two, it really disturbed people.
Yeah, for quite a while, Dee Snyder had trouble getting work because they were frightened by the fact that he thought up Captain Howdy.
Yeah.
So,
which is our main
character in the film. To give a basic thing, we decided to review Strangeland because of the big thing online about Megan is missing.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Strangeland was the very first film that had kids and teenagers connecting with somebody online that happened to be a serial killer.
Yep.
So, for everyone that's all aghast over how extreme Megan and missing is, it doesn't hold a candle to
No, it does not.
Or the Poughkeepsie tapes or anything else. But, specifically Strangeland, because it's the exact same premise, Strangeland is the much more intense film.
It's the more intense film. It is gritty in the way that gets under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have teenagers, specifically teenage girls, and they are meeting up with Captain Howdy,
who they think is a teen also, and he's going to throw a party.
Which, in the time period, and where this is kind of shot, there were a lot of party scenes and club scenes, and
1999 raves were really big, so people got invited to party via instant message and text message and things like that. It was nothing for somebody to randomly decide to have a party in an abandoned warehouse. They happened all the time.
And this one takes place in an actual club that exists. Existed.
This club, part of the movie was shot in was called The Church in Denver, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And it was a total industrial / BDSM club that was really common during that time period because, goth clubs and clubs that dealt with alternative lifestyle were a big thing back then.
And often they would coincide. So you would have kind of your club scene, your dance scene, but then you would also have your back scenes and your back rooms and things like that. And you don't really see those a lot much anymore.
No.
To be honest.
In a lot of places they've been outlawed, which makes a lot of sense because, when people start getting into body modification and that type of thing, it's best done by a licensed tattoo artist and piercer who follow all the guidelines for cleanliness and so on and so forth. Back then, it was relatively common for people to, if they wanted to be scarred, they would just heat up a knife and, put a line on their arm. It was not cleanly at all. It was bad.
It was, and, that was a sign of the times.
Yeah.
But this movie gets into that scene, and it gets into almost that sort of fetish, if you will. Plus, that's kind of the thing that our killer really enjoys. That's what his MO is.
Carlton Hendricks, which is the character's real name, he takes on the persona of Captain Howdy. But his big shtick is that he wants to, through pain and through the primal movement, awaken people to their true selves. Yes. So he has this insane thought that if he tortures people, they'll become enlightened.
Right.
And reach a higher level of awareness. So, throughout the course of the film, you'll find out, the reason things go awry, which is namely with Robert Englund. Or England. I always, as I was growing up, I always pronounced it Englund because it was spelled differently, but I think it's pronounced England. But, Freddy Krueger. So Freddy Krueger plays a redneck that tries to get revenge on Captain Howdy, which is an interesting choice in and of itself.
Because initially, Captain Howdy is apprehended. But upon trial, some little things go sideways.
Yeah.
So...
So, if you're The other thing that I think is really important about this film is the fact that people that don't know a lot about the goth metal scene or the goth metal music, this movie is full of it.
It actually is, and it's not, the bands like...
No, this is really... like Bile and things like that.
Yeah.
So, there is like one Marilyn Manson song on the soundtrack, but most of it are like bands that nobody really talks about now, which is a shame because I actually really like Bile. But they were part of this industrial hardcore scene that was also directly connected to what a lot of goth had evolved. People kind of get stuck in these like regimented areas, like that goth is only like new wave and that type of thing. But in the 90s, it had evolved somewhat. Now there are more bands that have gone back to a lot of the older sound, but in the 90s, goth merged with metal quite a bit.
It did, and it kind of merged into like the grunge scene, the industrial scene, the heavy, heavy music. So... this film really incorporates that, and it's not something you see a lot now. So you kind of have
it's kind of this it's this combination of a film that not only is a horror film that is the dangers of meeting people online and like
it will challenge your mind a little bit.
It does,
and challenge kind of you feel a little bit afterwards.
Now, I know that there have been some people who have complained that, the effects are fake and blah, blah, blah. I don't think they're fake looking.
Not particularly.
No. So
and
I don't know where that's coming from. Now, I will say that not all the acting is top-notch. Some of the actors are a little flat. But it does a really good job at showing all these other things.
It does. And it is up there, I think, with the Poughkeepsie tapes. It's kind of in our realm of things that kind of disturb us. Minus the music.
Yeah, the music is just fun. I mean, if you were looking for like a good soundtrack to work out to or whatever, pull it up on YouTube because people have it listed and just rock out because it's great.
Watch the movie to kind of get
a little bit of the heebie-jeebies because it there's some scenes that...
You won't sleep well that night. Let's just put it that way.
Or at least make your skin crawl, because this really gets into a lot of the intense body modification. We're talking like the people that actually will hang themselves from hooks and so on and so forth. And they choose to do that. It's not like a torture thing and that type of thing. So for me, like the idea of having a hook pierced through something is... gives me the... So, if that type of thing kind of wigs you out, then this one will get to you a little bit.
It'll get to you. But you also have to kind of get into the human psyche with it, too. And this movie will do that.
Yes.
So, give it a watch.
Yep, and comment down below with what your favorite, movie is that kind of makes you unsettled.
We'd like to know.
So, until next time.